Megatron is the main antagonist of the Michael Bay directed Transformers films, and is a constant foil to the Autobot leader Optimus Prime. And while it may be easy to just simply view him as an evil force, I think it is actually far more interesting to analyze his mindset from film to film, as he is actually a rather consistent villain, even as the pieces and Decepticons around him change. We first see Megatron frozen and completely comatose, being observed by humans on a military base, and when he first comes to, he immediately and proudly exclaims, "I am Megatron." And while this may just be a line meant to introduce the audience to who this character is, I actually think that this moment says a lot about who Megatron is fundamentally. You see, Megatron is very outwardly proud and boisterous when it comes to his goals and ambitions, and likes to feel like he is in control, and makes certain that others know it too. So I think he boldly proclaims exactly who he is, because he wants the humans to know exactly who is about to break free from their camp and wreak havoc. We also see this in his relationship with Starscream, as immediately after escaping the human military camp, the two meet up and Starscream refers to him as Lord Megatron. And the way in which Megatron speaks to Starscream shows that there isn't a ton of respect for his follower, and that Megatron is a leader who leads through fear. This first film also makes it clear that Megatron only cares for the lives of Decepticons, and that his clear goal is to revive his fallen planet. In his third act fight, he proclaims to Optimus Prime that humans don't deserve to live. And when Optimus disagrees, he tells Prime, "Then you will die with them." Megatron is also very dismissive of mankind, and tends to overlook anyone who he does not see as a threat to himself. This can be seen as Megatron constantly refers to Sam as boy in a very demeaning tone. Yet it is this same boy who ultimately kills Megatron by putting the Allspark in his chest. Post his resurrection in Revenge of the Fallen, we see that Megatron seeks out Starscream and he immediately berates him. "You left me to die on this pathetic insect planet." Megatron then proceeds to kick Starscream around a bit at the thought of Starscream taking command in his absence, proclaiming that, even in death, there is no command but mine. But this quickly changes when Megatron is in the presence of the Fallen, as he suddenly essentially takes the Starscream, loyal disciple type of role, as he says, "My master, I have failed you on Earth. The Allspark is destroyed. Without it, our race will perish." And in a way, I think getting to see Megatron in this role, as the Fallen's apprentice, illuminates why he is the way he is towards Starscream and just in general, as he loves feeling like he is the true number one and in command, and the fact that he really isn't grinds his gears. So he overcompensates a bit and lashes out on those who are weaker than him, such as Starscream and the humans. Later in the film, Megatron, as directed to do by his master, lures Optimus Prime out by attempting to abduct Sam. And once it is very clear that Megatron is going to be overpowered and beat in a 1v1 against Optimus, he calls his fellow Decepticons to jump the last remaining Prime. And when it comes to landing the final blow on Optimus, Megatron does it from behind after sneaking up on him, which all lends itself to the idea that Megatron knows he can't beat Prime in a straight-up fight. But yet, as he is landing the final blow, he boldly proclaims, "You are so weak," which I think just yet again harkens back to Megatron's constant need to proclaim his greatness, as he's truly insecure about his power. And by the close of the film, we see Megatron heavily damaged and being forced to flee, kind of similar to what Starscream had to do at the end of Transformers 1, which kind of highlights that Megatron isn't quite the great force that he proclaims himself to be. In Dark of the Moon, we see that Megatron is in hiding in the African Sahara, and his first line is, "All hail Megatron," still showing his outward presentation of overconfidence, even when he's in hiding due to his past failure. But it eventually gets revealed that Megatron was in cahoots with Sentinel Prime prior to both of their crash landings. Later in the film, Megatron even tells Sentinel, "This is the victory I promised you so many years ago, where we rebuild Cybertron together." And this has always been Megatron's ultimate goal since the first film, but Sentinel makes it clear that he works with Megatron, and not for him, which ultimately pisses Megatron off, as he of course doesn't like feeling like he isn't in control. And he certainly can't control Sentinel, which is ultimately why Megatron turns on Sentinel during Sentinel's fight with Optimus, which ends up being a fatal mistake as Optimus ends up besting Megatron yet again and killing him. But if Megatron had just allowed Sentinel to finish Optimus off first, he could have then swooped in, but his wounded pride made him jump the gun, and his constant need to grasp power ultimately thwarts his goal of reviving Cybertron. In Age of Extinction, mankind makes the decision to attempt to hunt the Autobots and build their own Transformers. And despite the humans wanting to make their own version of Optimus, it keeps coming out like Megatron. For some reason. I know this is kind of a stupid plot, but whatever. The humans ultimately end up using this new Transformer as a weapon to hunt down the remaining Autobots, and when confronting his former rival Optimus, it is revealed that this version of Megatron has no soul. Which is true, as Galvatron is largely just a fearless, soulless puppet for a good chunk of the film. But eventually Megatron manages to infiltrate his new body with his severed head, which isn't as dead as the humans thought it to be. Again, I know this is a stupid plot direction, but bear with me here. And the first thing he says after regaining control of his new body is, "I am Galvatron," which shows that his pride and overconfidence that he had in the first film is still very much alive and well. And in keeping with past films, his plans are ultimately thwarted once again, and he is forced to flee once again. And when we see Megatron in The Last Night, well, we see that he has somehow been reverted back to Megatron from Galvatron off-screen, and that he once again finds himself in the position of being someone else's lackey, as he is now working for Quintessa in an attempt to finally revive his planet. And it does seem that he has grown from his past mistakes of turning on Sentinel too soon, as he doesn't have any clear plans to betray Quintessa. And when Megatron sees that Optimus has reverted from the mind control that Quintessa put Prime under, he blindsides him and takes the staff from him, letting Prime know that he has failed, and lectures him for turning his back on Cybertron. And before getting his plans fully thwarted by Optimus yet again, in classic Transformers fashion, he proclaims to Optimus that we were brothers once, which I think is actually a really interesting endnote, as it shows that he actually does truly feel betrayed by Optimus, and rather than caring for the life of all sentient beings like Optimus does, Megatron simply holds this kind of care for his own kind only. All in all, for such a proud and overly confident character, I think it is interesting that Megatron spends so much time being ordered around or controlled by others. By the Fallen in the second film, by Sentinel in the third film, by humans in the fourth film, and by Quintessa in the fifth. And I think the fact that he isn't really in charge most of the time fuels his insistent need to try to grasp power, and assert his dominance over others. Both the franchise being rebooted and Megatron not having been seen since The Last Night, do you think we'll ever see Megatron again in live action films? Would you like to see him back? I'd love to hear all your Megatron related thoughts in the comments section. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this analysis of Megatron, please feel free to drop a like or subscribe for more screen stories.